What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Nick Underhill, neworleans.football. Here on the program once again. Saints 2-0. Is there stuff to improve? Absolutely. We'll get to it. But again, y'all, you ain't going to get me down when you're 2-0 for the first time in a decade, when you did it with great defense, and when you did it with clutch offense. Not overall good offense, but clutch offense. Nick, what's been your so I guess that's kind of my feeling on the season as a whole thus far. How would you describe your feeling through two games?
Well, I can tell how you're feeling because every time you're fired up, I come on here and you're showing your whole thigh. So that's always when I know it's a good morning.
Is that not the whitest, milkiest thigh you've ever seen, Nick?
Oh, yeah. Look at that straight.
Yeah, no question about it. There it is. All right. Ooh, behold. That kind of looks like their offense right now, to be honest. Not a whole lot of seasoning to it.
Okay. Relax, because at first glance, this thigh maybe looks a little like, it's a little pale, but then you see a little muscle definition. You start to feel it a little bit. And by the fourth quarter, you're like, I kind of like that thigh. Okay. So, yes, it is exactly like that.
But look, what was the question? I'm off the rails.
Okay. So that little soliloquy that I just gave, that is kind of my feeling overall through two games. Just give me your general sum it all up kind of feeling on this team through two games.
I mean, the defense is incredible. I mean, I think they're better than we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't think Dennis Allen gets enough credit for probably being like a top 5 defensive mind of his generation. Like he's unreal and he's killing it right now. And they were great last year on defense too, just didn't get the turnovers. They're getting pass rush with guys nobody's ever heard of. Like they look really, really good on defense right now. And you look at this team and it's like, man, if they can get to like stay like top 20 in offense, they can get in the playoffs, and DA is going to murder some teams in the playoffs, like just on offense, and they're going to have a chance. So, I think at worst they're relevant. I think they look like probably a playoff team right now, but I think the offense has to get a lot better. Look, just keeping it totally real. Like some of the stuff with Derek Carr has been a little bit disappointing. I think we were expecting a little bit more. It's taking a little bit of time to get going on some of it. There's some throws that I think that he's missed. There's been some inaccuracies. There's some throws he hasn't made. I think overall, though, he's managing these games really, really well. And, I think it's okay for it to be kind of slow going at first, but at some point it's got to pick up a little bit, and you got to handle some of these pressure situations and make some of these plays that he's not making. I mean, they're paying him a lot of money, and you kind of want to see a little bit better offense right now. But look, like the offensive line is still bad. There's no run game. They had no running backs. There's reasons for it. So I'm not rushing to judgment right now. It's just, you were kind of hoping like the build up throughout the summer that you were going to see like some fun offensive performances, and it has been the opposite of that. And it's a little disappointing to start, but I think it's okay. And, I was texting with the scout from another team during this game, and, just kind of, hey, like, what are your takeaways? What do you think of the Saints? What do you see? And like, his biggest point, and I thought it was, very valid, is he said, look, they know what they are right now. A lot of teams have no idea what their identity is this time of year. They're a defensive team. They're not taking risks. They're playing very vanilla right now because they know the Panthers can't score. Like, this is probably how they're going to play, and that's the truth. And I mean, I think we all kind of wanted to see something a little bit different, but if you can play like this and you're winning consistently and it works, like, it's fine. And then when you got to dial it up, Derek Carr is going to hit Rashid Shaheed down the sideline, and they're going to make a play when they need to make a play. And I guess that's kind of what counts right now. So optically, I think it's maybe leaves a little bit to be desired, but I think it's okay. Like, it's fine, and they can build up, and they're going to probably be 3-0 looking terrible on offense or subpar on offense, whatever it is. But like 3-0 is going to be 3-0. And, I think that's fine. That's a good place to build from.
I am a little nervous about the running back situation. The offensive line obviously not doing a great job, either pass protection or run blocking. But then you look at the depth chart, and you got a lot of red by the running back's name: questionable, out, suspended, IR, whatever it might be. Look, I appreciated the 11 personnel with Adam Prentice back there as a running back. I love that because you got a fullback in the game, but Saints fans probably don't love that. Where do you go now? Antonio Jones Jr. came in. He ran tough, but, yards per carry wasn't outstanding. Where are they going to go? How long are they going to be without some of these running backs?
I think I mean, I feel like they need to bring one more in this week. Kendrick Miller, excuse me, I believe is going to play. So, I mean, that's big for them. I think he's going to be a really good player for them. I mean, he looked awesome this summer. And, I thought he was better than Jamal Williams throughout the summer. I think he's going to breathe some life into that group. And they need somebody that can create a little bit, man, because like they're just not, the blocking has been spotty at times. So if he can get a couple extra yards here and there on his own, I think that's huge for him. Tony Jones will probably be up again this week, but I think they got to go out there and they got to look for like someone that can help, like just in a spot start. But if you told me they were going to get to week 3, no Alvin Kamara, and be 2-1 or 3-0, like I would have taken that every single time. So I think they've managed it okay. It's a little bit surprising. I mean, look, that was a position that they just put so many resources into this offseason, and by quarter 2 of game 2, like the whole plan's blowing up, and here's Tony Jones back from Denver, like trying to save the day. Like, just wasn't what I expected. I think they got to get probably, we're going to say every single freaking week, but like get Taysom a little bit more involved. Like, it was cool to see him like get pitched the ball like a regular running, but like figure out how to do that a little bit more. It works. So there's guys there, but I think they got to go out and they probably got to grab one more, like a veteran guy that can come in and help. You guys are going to ask about Leonard Fournette. I'm going to say probably not, but look, there's got to be somebody out there that can probably help him.
But but that guy's not just Taysom. Why? Because like pass pro and stuff. Like, what are we just like? Because I mean, at the end of that game, I mean, you just straight up lined him up in the backfield and were using him like RB1 style, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not, man. Like that's a question we've been asking for years. I don't know. Like I ask Pete Carmichael about it every week. Like I don't know. He gives answers that don't make sense to me, or just like we got to figure it out. I don't know. Figure it out. Like you got this guy here that averages a lot of yards per carry, like every single time he touches the freaking ball. Like it doesn't make sense to me that for years now it's just been like this I don't know, there's like a barrier there that it just hasn't opened up. Like I don't get why he's not in the running back room. I don't get why you aren't just handing him the ball. Like there's guys that play running back in the league that aren't very good at blocking and blitz pickup, but they still get carries. Like there's still first down, like just get them the ball somewhere, make use of them. You have this very, very unique player, like figure out how to maximize it, but they haven't. And I don't understand it. I mean, it can't be as difficult as it seems. It's just like, we're going to hand the ball to Taysom and he's going to gain 6 yards. Like, just do that. Do it 6 times a game. Like, it'll work. I promise.
T-Bob, to Nick's point, Tony Jones Jr. graded out 43% in pass protection. Jamal Williams, 54%. We joked Adam Prentice came in, but he was 73%. So they felt like he gave them the best option, even though he's not going to be a huge receiving threat. I believe that was like in a 2-minute situation as well. So, like, to that point, you don't have someone that's elite in pass protection right now. Go put Taysom in there. You feel like he can give you just as much as you're getting currently right now. So
yeah, I mean, I would do yeah. So we all are kind of on the same page. It's up to Pete and the offense to do that now. Let's flip it back to the uber positive side of the ball defensively. Nick, I was shocked. Jeff Duncan just tweeting that right now, Marshawn Lattimore, the highest graded cornerback in the NFL according to PFF, Demario Davis, the number 2 linebacker according to PFF, and those are awesome, but not wholly unexpected. Maybe that ceiling is, but how about that? Carl Granderson, your number 7 edge defender in the NFL right now. Has Carl Granderson been the most? I mean, I would have him as my early MVP for this team at this point.
Yeah, he's looked awesome so far, and that was kind of one of my main concerns coming in was the defensive line, and they're shutting me up. Like, there's not a lot to nitpick about it right now. I mean, they've been really good, and yeah, Granderson's been at the forefront of that. He had 6 pressures in this game, and I can't remember what he had last week. It was a big number there too. So he's coming into his own. I think the big thing with him too is that he's getting better at run defense, and that's been kind of the acceleration for him over the last 2 years, and how he's gotten on the field more and more. But he's definitely looking like that guy right now. We'll see how it continues to progress, but you got Jordan Love this week. That's somebody else you could probably tee off on a little bit. Like, there aren't a lot of like quarterbacks that are you're looking at him, you're like, oh, this guy's going to be able to protect himself this week. Like, there's a lot of guys that are just kind of guys that they're going to play. So, I think their pass rush plan is probably going to work. And you see DA continuing to be creative with how he's dialing this stuff up. Pete Werner had his first credit on a sack last week. Like, they're going to get guys back there, and I think it's going to work. I think they can piece it together probably better than I thought they were going to be able to. I still would feel better if there was one more guy. I'd like to see Isaiah Foskey do some stuff. Didn't really see anything from him in this game.
Do something.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need one more option, but yeah, I mean, Granderson has probably been better than expected to start the season.
And remember, our talk with Nick every single week brought to you by former Tiger attorney Chris Perrett here on Off the Bench. What about Nick? Okay, so it's kind of funny. You mentioned Foskey, right? Another second-round pick, edge rusher that's just not working out. It looks like you finally hit on a first-rounder, though. Brees looking strong through a couple of games. I haven't dove into this film to the level that you do. What have you thought about the Saints' first-round pick so far through 2 games?
He looks like the real deal, man. Like he's polished. He has a plan. He knows what he's doing out there. It isn't, you see Foskey and he's still trying to figure it out. And he has one move. Foskey has one move. And he's working everything off of the one move. And look, that's kind of where you got to start a little bit when you're just coming in as an athlete. You got to build it up a little bit. Brees polished, man. And you get into the league and with him, it was just kind of like there was all this adversity in college, but he was a very polished player when you saw him play, when he was in shape and everything. And I think that's showing up right away. He's explosive. He's smart. He has a plan, all that stuff. I think he had 3 or 4 pressures in this game. So, I mean, he's producing right away. Yeah. And he's a player for him, and he's going to be a difference maker, I think, all season long. And I think he's going to keep getting better as the year progresses, as he, settles in, adds to his repertoire. I think he has to get a little bit better defending the run, stuff like that. But I mean, the pass rushing coming in, he's that guy right now. So it's been a while since I felt great about somebody they drafted in the trenches. I think Brees definitely a hit, though. Like, I would be super shocked if he doesn't have a good season.
Nick, how did you grade out Marcus May in this game? Because there was times that the one Bryce Young run that he had in the middle of the field, Marcus May just runs right past him. And it wasn't all bad, but this is a player that I think we're all expecting a little bit more from. And Jordan Howden is a player that he's right now just basically in pass situations, but like, could we see maybe him get some more run there? You're like, is Marcus May somebody that you think can continue to get better? Because we know what the contract is.
Yeah, that play was a tough look, man. Open field, and you just kind of, I don't know. Like, you gotta make a move on it. You gotta do something. It's a tackle. Like, just do.
Yeah, I mean, it was odd looking.
Yeah, it was just kind of like he was like, well, I'm cooked, and like didn't do anything. Like, you gotta try to do something there. And it was tough, man.
You got to pull one of them big Fave
I thought he had
dives. That might be a weird reference, Nick. Have you ever seen that clip of Big Fave? He's in like a preseason game. The running back's like 5 yards away from him, and he just lays out in the air. Can't question the effort.
I mean,
to do that.
There's some effort, though, man. Like, you just got to do something. But I thought he had a good summer, and then, this game was a little bit – it was shaky, man. The coverage was shaky. I thought, that play was a little bit shaky. He had a couple things in run defense that were okay. Like, I like his range. I like the idea of him. It's just kind of, you want to see a little bit more dynamic stuff there. And, man, when you get caught in one of those, like, isolating moments, it's just so hard to get that taste out of your mouth when you see it. It's just you got to try to do something there. Look, I like Howden a lot. I mean, I think he's going to keep progressing. He's going to keep getting more snaps. I think he's a player, too, for real. And he's looked really good in that dime package when they brought him in. He can play in the box. He can play deep. He has that versatility. May has some of that. Tyron definitely has it. I mean, so he's another guy that can add to that mix. But, yeah, May was like, look, man, like early on in his career with New York, like he was kind of the other young guy that you talked about in conjunction with Marcus Williams. Just kind of like, these are the 2 young safeties that are kind of out here killing it, looking really good. Last year he was coming back from the Achilles. I thought week 1 he was good. This week it was just like it's got to be a little bit better than that for sure.
Hey, Nick, you mentioned offensive line. We mentioned it coming into the year. That was maybe the biggest limiting factor. That was going to determine where this team went. 2 guys that I want to highlight here. First, what growth did you see from pinning game 1 to game 2? And then what's going on with Cesar Ruiz right now?
Well, I thought Cesar struggled. I mean, I thought he gave up a little bit too much in this game. So, that was a tough line. We'll see how he shakes back, but yeah, I kind of wanted to see him start the season a little bit better. I thought Penning was a little bit better. Like they didn't have to, I was surprised they didn't have to send like extensive help to him. Like he was okay. He still gave up way too much. Like it still has to get better. I talked to him after the game. He kind of like ducked us all week. And then, after the game, I finally ran him down. He said in week 1 that he was kind of playing to not lose, and he was scared a little bit, didn't have his confidence, was just trying to survive and not make mistakes. And then this week he was kind of attacking it a little bit more. playing with a little bit more confidence, and he thought felt more successful coming off the field. I think if you just keep having days like, you just got to keep getting better and better and better and better at it. And it has to happen in a hurry, though. But I do think he took a little bit of a step forward. I don't think the matchups are going to be as tough the next few weeks. Like week 1, week 2, I think we're about as hard as those matchups were going to be on him. But it's not there yet. I mean, you can't give up 4 or 5 pressures every single game. Like that's just way too much. That can't be the norm. Yeah. I think James Hurst is struggling too, man. Like he's got to play better. And I'm sure there's some element of like the guy next to you maybe not holding all of his own, kind of exposes you a little bit. But that whole left side of the line right now is just it's weak. I was a little bit surprised that the Panthers didn't throw more at it. Like I would have been like just sending 2 guys through the gaps. Like they did that to him 2 years ago with those double A gap blitzes, kind of like walked them up on him over and over and over and over, and the Saints couldn't stop him. Like I didn't see that kind of effort to try to like just expose the left side of the line. That was the most shocking thing to me. Not having Burns over there just to see if you can just dominate with one guy and force a 2-on-1 the whole game and kind of force the offense to be, a 10-man operation because you got 2 on this one. Like there were things they could have done. I would have been sending stunts at Penning the whole game. Like I would have just went after him and they didn't. But he held his own and I thought he looked fair, like maybe a little below fair, but it's definitely got to get better.
Hey, Nick, before we let you go, I want to ask you about a player we talked a lot about in the offseason. That is Michael Thomas. Right now, he's on pace to have over 100 catches and right at 1,000 yards.
Ooh, yeah.
And I realize it's under 10 yards per catch, but he feels like he is a great kind of safety net for Derek Carr so far. 12 catches after 2 games. And I think if you get this version of Michael Thomas, it might not be the peak version that won Offensive Player of the Year, but it's exactly what this team needs.
Oh, he looks amazing, man. He's back. Like he's that guy. Like he's making physical catches. He's sacrificing his body. The one where he went up and, stayed in on the sideline, kind of got his ass down before he fell out of bounds. Like he looks really, really good. He's making all the plays that you want him to make. I think he's running well. He looks violent on his cuts. I don't see anything that looks weird about him. I mean, Look, obviously 2019 is like a wild standard, but I don't know. You go out there and look, it looks like Mike Thomas. How many years ago was that? 4 seasons ago? Like 4-year progression from them. It kind of looks like he's where he's at. I think he's – look, I think I said this on here before. Like, I think he has a chance if he stays healthy to be the guy that leads the team in receptions and somebody else leads in yards. And that's kind of what you want this team to be. You got 2 really explosive playmakers. You have Mike be the chain mover. My criticism of this is that, like, Carr just didn't find him in the second half. Like, he had 7 catches in the first half. Like, keep getting him the ball. The other thing I really like about him too is like on some of these broken plays, like if you watch the all 22, like you can see Mike just like making the necessary adjustments. They're kind of seeing the field together. It hasn't quite clicked yet, but when you kind of get that element going too, and they're just completely on the same page, I think it's gonna take another step. But man, he started the season. I think if you had to say like an ideal scenario for weeks 1 and 2, I think he's hit the mark so far.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I think. Like, ideal would be how this last game broke down, where Mike had the most catches, Olave had the most yards, Shaheed had the highest average. Like, that'd be great if you could expand that over an entire year. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.